All right, then, Phil. Boy, look like me and you can start this thing,
Marcus.
yeah. I think Kirby having some trouble there with his machine.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I
That's
thought
all
he was.
right. These things
I
happen.
thought
These
I
things.
thought he was having another Sunday nap. You boasted about that last time.
Oh, so it's conspiracy theory. So you think he really that he oversleep? He's still
I
sleeping.
think so. I think so. I think he getting too cozy with these Sunday afternoon naps. No.
Well, we can see where he bringing Selby that happened because we could only take his word, right? We can
Yeah.
only take his word. Anyway, hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Living Room. How are you? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Sunday. Hope you had a great week as well. I'm looking forward to the week ahead. As usual, this is the Living Room. I'm here with it's me, Andre, with my I usually say it's my good friends Philip and Mark. Well, good friend Philip at the moment. Mark, Mark will join us in a second once he's either woken up or
I've had
he
us.
says there he is. He's on the screen there saying his machine is cracked. So I don't know how he typed that. But anyway, but anyway, if this is your first time, this is the living room, and we are a bunch of West Indians who just love to have Caribbean conversation. We think we're the best people to talk amongst ourselves, tell our own stories, and to just have good old conversations via this medium. This is We Global. If it's your first time, hit like, hit if you're on Facebook, hit like and ring the bell if you're on YouTube as well, so you get notifications for some of our future videos. And there's loads of content there that you guys can get stuck into as well. So we're just gonna have a good old Caribbean conversation. Hey Phil, what's going on, man? You
Yeah,
believe
everything
right,
is.
man?
He said he using his phone to type, so
He says, okay, that's what you
maybe.
say. Oh,
But I
okay.
still hold. I still hold
You
that he
still,
oversleep. I am so sure.
you holding that he oversleep.
I'm yeah. I'm expecting that is the case. That is a true story.
And you know he's a man that sleep hard, right? Because he's going, his
And
silly
snore
hands
hard
be down
too.
between his
You've
leg
heard
there. He'll
him.
be like, yeah. So I know he sleep bad. So well,
Mhm.
hopefully, Sony, if you're watching, go wake up Mark there and tell him to come in and you know.
And stop typing messages for him.
Exactly. You know. So what's going on in your neck of the woods, man?
Yeah, everything is all right. The days are getting brighter,
Bro, that's
so you
true.
can get out a bit more. It feels
Mm-hmm.
that way.
You put in a 10 or a 5 today?
I yesterday did a 5.
You're a 5. Okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
usually I would go for 10 on Sundays, but I just wasn't up for it. I
Yeah,
was
well,
working on something else. I got up and I've been working on a slow burner topic for a long time. It's almost a
okay, no
year I've
problem.
been working on this, so
Okay,
but I have
okay.
some
So
thoughts on it.
okay, so you only do a 5 today. So you just about could run a whole 5 then, cause you know you was running chip the 10 and things. So
I don't run a chip no 10, man. I just run the 10 full out.
he's right.
Yeah,
You're ready to. Okay. Well, I still recovering from my knee. That's my story. How you doing, Sue? I still recovering from my knee. So I only do a.
I used to be watching your times. Anytime you run over a 9 minute mile, or the wind had me
Look, that day the wind was strong.
outrunning with the girls.
That's what it's used right when you're a bit
Yeah.
slow. You just put in something there. But no, the wind was something else the other day.
Yeah.
So I went out, I do a run, but man, when I turn and come up, I was like literally running against the wind, man. So
Mm.
barely making it. But it was good. It was good. But I'll try to see if I could get in a 10 or so this week and a few others. I trying to do this week. I give myself the challenge to run at least a 5, then a 10, 5, then a 10 every day this week.
So every other day. So you're running the
No,
10 and
I
then
run it every day. Five,
right. That's what I mean. Every day. And you're
every other
using
day the
so
distance.
you're
Yeah,
using the
yeah, yeah,
five
yeah,
as
yeah,
your
yeah,
recovery.
yeah. So I can
Okay.
see if I could get that happen. I ain't too sure. The knee's getting a little bit old there now.
That happens. That
Oh, Shelly
happens.
Miller there said. Yeah, but Shelly, you gotta look at your times though. You're running 9 minutes per kilometer and thing. That already.
9 minutes per mile. Per mile, not kilometer.
So you go watch it there.
You got to look
You
at
go watch the
times.
time and thing. Man, so how? So this is second week back at school. You start doing the tests at home yet?
Nicole's been doing those.
Yeah. So this is second week back at school.
Turn it down now.
Man,
Turn
that you
down your
wake up.
Facebook, man. How
Yo,
you do? Welcome, man. You wake up.
Absolutely.
I wake up, man. I don't know. The machine just crashed. I don't know what's going on.
Next time,
Oh,
set the
okay.
Anyhow,
alarm. Set the
anyhow,
alarm next time.
Set the alarm? Nah, man. Nah. Hey, good. What going on, man?
We good.
good.
Good
man.
evening, everybody. Sorry to be late. I had a little bit of a machine problem here.
That's his story. He's sticking with that, so we gonna go with that as well. Yeah. So I was asking Phil, you start having to do the tests at home yet?
Yeah, we've been doing that for a little while, actually.
What
yeah.
with the kids?
Yep.
Ooh. So how Miles doing with the up the nose?
I haven't done it with him, to be honest. Nicole gets the joy of doing that.
In other words, you can't
Hand too heavy.
handle it.
He hand too heavy.
No, he's skirmish, man. He's skirmish.
He's skirmish. He don't listen to me anyway, so.
Oh,
I can't think. I'd be skirmish too, but I watched Ariel do it the other day. I was like,
She did it on her own.
yeah, because when they went back to school, they got to do the test on their own. The teachers don't do it, right? The teachers just supervise it. So at home now, starting Friday, they had to start doing it on their own. Was it 3 times a week? I think it is Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah. So you ever did a test on yourself?
No, actually, I never had no reason to have to do one. So
Same here.
I lucky. I lucky because
I don't like nothing in my nose.
Nah,
ears,
I don't think I would
eyes.
enjoy it. It would be hard. It would be hard. Carbon, you do one yet?
not yet. But the wife and sons has been doing it, and
Use what?
nah.
You don't watch.
No, I don't watch. And need for me to watch. Why you want to watch somebody jucking stand up in the nose for? Nah.
Yeah. That's a harsh one. I don't do that, and I haven't done that one yet. So
I ain't there. But we'll see how that plays out over the next couple of weeks.
Indeed. Luckily enough, well, I don't know how long they can go do it for, but I guess they'll have to do it for quite some time, until they're satisfied that everybody is
Exactly.
okay.
Data,
Although one
not
class-
dates.
Well, Lord.
Data, not dates. True. One class had to get sent home already within the first week of school.
Already?
In in area school.
Wow.
Whole class sent home already because I think 1 or 2 kids tested positive.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, obviously, the first test on the Monday, everybody was good. By the time you do the test on the Tuesday, you caught a few people who were tested positive, so the whole class had to go home. So
Okay.
you gotta hope that there don't be a return of what happened a few months ago.
We hope not.
Yeah,
Well,
Indeed.
well, look, can I give a shout out? I know it was a little bit late, and as I said,
we wanna shout
don't
out.
don't
Go
believe
ahead.
these 2 jokers. It was just a little bit of a machine mishap. I think it.
You
Listen,
supporting you?
I think it would be great to give a shout out to this lady here,
Yes. We shouting out Angie.
Angela Eunice Knight. I don't even know if she's in the chat this evening, but
I'm
Angela,
sure she's there.
good evening and thank you. Because Angela is one of those fans who, when we post anything on our page, she's right in there, man, right in there. Shares it everywhere. So we just thought it would be really good to make a special mention of you this evening. And thank you so much for
Thank you.
being in the We Global family. Thank you, Angela.
Indeed. I mean, Angela shares everything that we put out. So thank you for that, Angela. Really, really appreciate that. It's helping us to get the word out and spread the word. about
Absolutely.
everything At We Global. So we really, really, really appreciate that, man.
Absolutely.
So besides a good afternoon sleep, man, what do you man get it to this weekend?
I ain't sleep today at all. This show just keep me real busy, I don't mind when man, this week, a lot of meetings as usual. Just trying to look ahead now to see whether we're going back to the office or not, because that's the big question that everybody is grappling with at the moment. You know how it is. Whether we're bringing everybody back or whether we're going to stay home for a couple of days or whether,
So what's driving that conversation? What sort of approach?
home fatigue and utility bills. I think generally, look, for me, I've been working from home since last February. It's a long time, really, really long time, man. So I think generally people are just having a little bit of a reflection on missing their colleagues and missing that human interaction. There's only so much Teams and Zoom anybody can take. And I think that is starting to drive a look towards what the office will look like. But nobody wants to go back full time.
I don't think you can get anybody going back anywhere full time.
Unless
I think initially people might want to do it, just to do something different, because all of a sudden now going into the office can be doing something different. But I think long term, folks are going to want to have to mix that up and be a bit more flexible. I think organizations are going to have no choice but to be more flexible as well when it comes to that kind of thing. I mean, given what we see now, we've gone from the mantra of, oh no, we need everybody in the office, nobody can work from home, to, oh, actually, we getting more productivity when everybody at home.
Well,
So
they know how to practice.
you understand, and I want to underestimate how much not having to do the commute has helped people as well, to be a more productive one. And the commute just takes a lot out of you. Going
Especially
back
the
and
people
forth,
especially the people that live down by you that just pay them hefty prices.
For real.
You mean in London? Oh yeah.
Oh
that's
yeah.
very true.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that's going to get a lot of people in London, and the office is going to have a problem, is the amount of money people have saved on the commute in.
Yeah.
Because let me tell
absolutely.
you, that is just so much money to pay on mornings to go in. I mean, to go in a one way in for me in London cost me nearly £7. Just to get in. Back home by the time in the evening, that's nearly another 8 or so, or well, not another
So
8,
15,
like 9 or
15
10.
pounds a day.
But the funny thing is that to do a return, they charge you so much less. It don't make any sense getting it one way, right? So they encourage you to buy the return or to buy a travel card. It's quite a lot of money by the time, nearly £11 or so by the time you do that. So imagine doing that a day. The amount of money people have saved over the last year. So I don't think you're gonna find people willing to continuously go in.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I think that's gonna be pretty difficult. That's gonna be hard. That's gonna
For
be
sure.
hard to do.
So look, I was late, but here comes the question. Who have we got in the living room today, man?
Got in the living room today. Well, see, he late, fella. So he ready to hurry up
Checking
now
the schedule
and
still.
Hey, move on, man.
he don't want to be talking about that anymore. But let me hear the belly grow, because you can grow, because he a little baby, so you gotta get a little tear thing after you wake up. But he wasn't able to do that, so
Yeah, man.
he had to come straight in. So you can hear just know
right.
you can hear the baby grow. But look,
You're right, man. You're right.
today we one of the things when we first started doing the living room, and by extension doing We Global, is that we started on the premise that we need to be the people telling our own stories, having our own conversations, not looking to external media houses and what's not to tell us about ourselves. And that's really the premise that we started We Global, and consequently started the living room as well. But then we know that there's some true storytellers all across the region in many different forms. You got the calypsonians, you got the poets, the book writers, the playwrights, all that kind of stuff. And then you have the filmmakers or the movie makers and what's not. And there's some really good stuff right across the region. And we thought it's about time we get some good filmmakers in from across the region and have a good conversation about that. Us telling our own stories, hearing their journeys, what they go through, how they come up with the stories, how they pick them. Just a good conversation, as we always do in the living room. So that's what we're going to do today. So today we have Marielle Brown from Trinidad. She's in with us. We have Marcia Weeks from Barbados, and she's produced some really good stuff, as well as Marielle. And then we have Mariette Montpierre from Guadeloupe. And I'm sure I said Montpierre wrong, because I have no good French accent. But we have her from Guadeloupe as well, who's done some fantastic stuff also. So that's three M's, all M-A-R as well. So I think it's going to be a fantastic conversation. So we're just going to go ahead and bring them in. And I think Mark is stuck there, from what I can see as well. He's stuck again. But he's stuck. But we're going to go ahead and just bring everyone in and have a good conversation. So guys, if you're watching, hit share for us. Bring as many people into this conversation. So while we talk to the people who are helping us continuously understand about ourselves and to learn more about ourselves through their work. So we're going to bring them into the living room right now.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Welcome,
Oh, Mark,
everybody.
you're back.
Yeah. I'm just having some real connection issues.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, you were telling the truth then.
I'm sorry, man.
Not
No, that's
need BT, BT.
no, that's all right.
Wow.
That's all right. That's all right. But ladies, welcome to the living room. It's
Thank you.
fantastic to have you here, and
Thank
we're just
you.
gonna have a fantastic conversation. About your journeys, your work, telling our stories, and we're just gonna have a good time. So guys in the audience, say welcome to the ladies as well as we carry on and continue.
Excellent. Welcome everybody. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
And perhaps Marcia, if I can come to you first. Good evening.
Good evening, Mark. Good
Yeah,
to see you're back.
No,
Did you believe in Marcia?
Listen.
First and
Don't
foremost? Did you-
bother to join with the two of them, because them just looking to cause a lot of trouble, right?
Listen, Mark going to have his Sunday dinner. Don't worry about it.
Oh, see, you up the thing there now. You up the thing there, Marcia.
I can see we can have some fun this evening. But anyhow, welcome. Good to see you. Good to see you, man.
Yes, great
And
to be here.
how are you? Let's start simple, man. How are you? How are you doing?
I am doing great. I'm doing great here in Barbados. As everybody knows, I'm Jamaican. But
Yeah, man.
yeah,
What you say?
all day, every day. But I'm sure that's all you can say, Mark.
Yeah. It's the
That's
truth.
as much as he can
It's
say.
the truth. It's the truth.
What a guan.
But I'm here in Barbados and it's beautiful, very sunny outside, and a beautiful day, beautiful Sunday. So I'm doing great. Doing great.
Okay.
Oh, fantastic.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
And if I can say a warm and beautiful welcome to Mariette, our first
Hello.
French-speaking Caribbean guest. Good evening.
Good evening. Bonjour, bonjour.
Bonjour. Comment allez-vous?
Danielle and Marcia and all the guys. It's so nice and refreshing to see two other women, because I was watching three guys talking for like 15 minutes. And I thought, there's something wrong in that picture. For real.
No, it's
Not
great.
at
It's
all,
great.
not at all.
It's great to welcome you into the living room. And how are you? How are you doing?
How's Guadeloupe?
Well, Guadeloupe is beautiful. We are not in lockdown. We're only wearing masks and doing social distancing. But the restaurants are open. I went to a party last night. We're just living the lives, and the ocean is right outside of my window. And right after the show, I'm going to hit the beach. So life is groovy.
Oh, excellent.
I wish I could go to the beach now myself.
You got that right. You got that right. Indeed. And Marielle, how are you? How are you doing? You're on mute, Marielle. There you go.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't want to hear about the beach being right next to well, the beach is next to my house too, but I am not going in that sea, that's for sure.
That's
So, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I was enjoying the conversation about COVID that you guys were having prior to bringing us on. So, I really hope that people do go back to the office. I think cities are going to collapse without people working in the office.
Oh, yes.
And I think that would be a tragedy. I think the bustling city will cease to be the bustling. I mean, I don't know if any of you have been into central London in the past year. It's an absolute graveyard.
I have not. I have not been.
It's
to
a ghost
London.
town.
I haven't been to London since March last year.
Yeah, I went in June or July to help my husband with some new work that he was making. And I mean, I could count 10 people on Parliament Square, 15 people on Trafalgar Square. But that's not London. I mean, that's...
No, it's not.
You don't...
No, it'll come back.
Yeah. But I
It
guess
won't come back if people aren't going to the office.
that's true. The other
All
perspective
those
there is just
cafes,
people
all of
buying
those little
lunch,
shops and
cafes.
cafes that exist to furnish lunch for people working in the office, they'll just vanish.
Oh, I completely agree. I agree with that.
It's a different world, and who knows what will come once we start to get back into the groove of things. It will come back differently. It won't be the same. It will come back.
It won't be
differently.
the same, yeah.
Yeah.
It won't be the same.
So look, storytellers, welcome.
Let's
Welcome.
go.
And I'm going to go back around this circle because, Marcia, I am intrigued. Okay? I want to know, when did you first discover I would love to tell stories. Come on, tell us about how it got started for you.
Well, Mark, to be honest with you, it would have started when I was a little girl in Jamaica and
Oh.
telling stories to the trees and the flowers.
To the trees. Oh,
What was your first story? What was the first
you
story?
were real creative, man.
Listen, I was making them up on the spot, and I was telling stories and I was teaching the trees and all of that too. And then when I went to Spanish Town Primary, and I had to do composition, right? We all remember composition.
Of course.
So,
Yeah.
right.
Still doing
So I did this story, and my teacher was just laughing and laughing and laughing, and she took it from one class, from her classroom, and took it to another teacher, and they took it to another teacher, and they were just dying with laughter. And I'm trying to understand what's going on, and I realized that it was, she brought back the paper and said, that I'd be a good writer, someday.
Wow.
But
Fascinating.
I didn't
Wow.
think, but I went on into accounting. I did accounting at UTech, and moved out of that whole creative arena. So.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, some people say accountants are quite creative as well.
Yes.
I don't think whenever you hear creative and accountant, I don't think that's a good thing. You don't want those two things go side by side.
Listen, that kind of talk will land you in jail,
Yeah. We'll strike that from the
Exactly.
We're talking about
Creative
different type of
accounting.
creative here. We're not cooking any books, anything like that.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
So, but I would say from a little girl, but I went on studying accounting all the way to becoming a CPA. So I got given up on the artistic part of myself.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I started telling stories from I was little to the trees.
Awesome. Awesome.
Excellent.
And you Jamaicans have got a way of telling this, I grew up listening to a lot of dub music, and dub music is just stories and beautiful stories, beautiful. Awesome.
I grew up listening to a lot of dub too, but unfortunately, you know how it was with me. I couldn't understand what nobody was saying, so I was
Ragga.
That was my favorite. That was the truest song ever written in the Caribbean. Because I couldn't understand a thing in dub. I was like, "What these guys saying?" I can't get it.
I love it.
Hey, but Maria, what about yourself? We know the Trinidadians are extremely creative people, and one of the things that since we've been doing the show, that's something that just come home over and over and over and over again. What got you started in the journey of filmmaking or this creative space of creating film?
Well, I mean, I think I was born into a life of creativity. My father was a writer and poet, and my mom is an interior designer who went to university to study fashion. And so I just had the great good fortune of growing up with art and books and creative people around me all the time. My sister likes to joke that she has all the useful friends and I have all the inspirational friends. She's friends with doctors and lawyers and accountants, and I'm friends with filmmakers and artists and jewelers. But yeah, I mean, in a way, for me, it was clear from very, very early on that I was never really going to be anything else, but that it was undoubtedly going to be my route in life, that I would work in a creative field. I didn't know which one. Didn't. In fact, I sort of stumbled into television. I had done my degree in languages and literature at UWI, and I had graduated, and I didn't have a job, and I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. Literatures in English. What did I just say? Literatures in English at UWI. And I mean, I'd read some excellent books and met some wonderful people, but I was really clueless about what job I was actually going to get. And a job came up for a junior cub reporter at TTT, Trinidad and Tobago Television. And a friend of mine who worked there suggested that I apply, and I did, and I got the job.
Wow.
And that was my first time ever, even in a television studio. I mean, it was so exciting. It was so exciting.
I can imagine. I can just
that's where
imagine.
everybody read the news. You know,
Wow.
that's where Alison Hennessy did Community Dateline every day, and there I was doing my on-camera test to a teleprompter. I mean, it was the most bizarre experience, and but so also really, really exciting. And I just I fell in love with the medium. I fell in love with the confluence of creativity and technical, the ability to tell stories with visuals as well as with audio, with music and sound and cinematography. I was immediately bitten by the bug. I didn't last in news for very long. I mean, I did 2 years in news, but then after that, I started kind of trying to figure out how to make a living and do this thing on my own. But, I mean, how old was I when I started? I think I was 24 when I started at TTT, and so I've been kind of working in video and storytelling, visual storytelling since the late 1990s.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
We're gonna hear a lot more about where you went and what you discovered. You know,
Indeed.
And if we can go to the French island of Guadeloupe.
Well, for me, writing stories always came. It's been always very difficult for me to write. I'm not a natural writer, but I like sharing stories with people. And the way it came was my aunt was the first cashier at the first movie theater of the island. It was called La Renaissance, the Renaissance Theater, and also the Rex, REX. And when I grew up, it was my babysitting. She used to bring me to the theater all the time. I would wait for her. I would be watching the films over and over again. Back in those days, I watched a lot of Western, a lot of religious movie, peplums, like The 10th Commandment, Sansa and Delilah, a lot of movies from
Spartacus.
India. Yes, Spartacus,
Spartacus.
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
And back in the days, the curtains were red velvet, and also the seats were red velvet. It was very cozy and dark. And I love the atmosphere, the ambience, and the people from my town used to talk to the screen. And they would, when people would get a punch in the face in the Western, for instance, they would comment and they would say, "Okay, no, get it back, do this," and all in Creole, in French Creole. And I kind of liked the atmosphere. And when I moved to Paris, my mother continued, that tradition to bring us once a week to the movie theaters on Saturday afternoon. So, and we would eat, ice cream during the entr'acte. Back in the day, you used to have 2 movies, and you had what we called a break, and we would eat ice cream, and I just loved it. So I felt that if I could be, at the time, I kind of wanted to be more of an actress. Before I realized that my true calling was in directing, and that's where I would be able to shape the message and create my own stories.
Wow. Fantastic story. And guys in the audience, we're going to be sharing some work throughout this program today of some of the great stuff that these ladies have been doing. So we're going to share some stuff. We want your comments. If you've watched some of this stuff, tell us what you thought. If you need to see it, tell us as well, because we're going to tell you where you can be getting some of this stuff as well.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Phil.
No, I was just going to say, Mariette said that term, true calling. She heard her true calling to be a director. I was just going to throw it out to Mariette, to Marcia, and Marielle. What is true calling, and what is the sound of calling that brings you into filmmaking and storytelling?
I mean, for me, it was a relief to have found it because I spent a lot of time wasting time in my
Searching.
20s. I just dithered around. I had no sense of direction and very little sense of purpose. And so, and when you have the kinds of parents that I have, my father wrote over 3,500 columns in the national and regional newspapers over the course of his life. The idea of going through my life without a sense of direction or purpose, it was unacceptable. And so when I finally made the decision that actually this is what I love and this is what I'm passionate about, the relief I felt was enormous. I didn't have to search anymore. I was no longer confused. Pardon me?
Got a sense of peace once you started it.
Yeah, I got a sense of peace, but I don't want you to get the impression that that made the decision, that made the actuality easy or pleasant.
Okay.
Living as a filmmaker in the Caribbean is very hard.
Get some of that too.
And you have to come to terms with the exigencies of an often financially challenging life quite early on. And I really struggled with that for a long time. I worked very hard, but I remember when my sister bought a house in her 20s and I just went into like a free fall of panic.
Oh, my word.
I just realized it was not even in the universe of my life that I would be able to buy a house in my 20s.
Wow.
And I don't know if Mariette and Marcia have experienced a similar kind of thing, but so it's what makes me understand that it is my vocation is that I've never given it up, even when it's been really hard, even when I've had to sell my personal possessions to pay the rent. And I have, you know, and I feel like, so that ideas of success for me have to do with my commitment to the work more than my commitment to the work and my commitment to growing as a filmmaker and developing my craft. More than, and you also, because of the reality of the Caribbean, you also have to get away from this idea that somehow you're going to strike it rich like you're in Hollywood and everybody's going to know who you are.
You hold that thought for a minute, because I'm going down some interesting paths.
Indeed. And I was going to start to go down because Marielle mentioned, you know, it's a bit difficult to do what you guys are doing in the region. Has that been your experience? And what are some of the barriers that you've come up against, that you've had to overcome clearly? Because to be honest with you, I don't know if everybody know the extent of your catalog, but it's fairly extensive, despite some of the challenges as Marielle would have spoken about just now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to her and I'm like, my sister Marielle. I'm like, yes, you know, as I said to you, my background is in accounting. And so the idea is that when you come from a background like I did, where, you know, I'm coming from Jamaica, Central Village, Big Lane, complete ghetto community. The idea is that you go to school, you do well, right? And you're going to land a great job. And so, you know, I didn't just want to stop at accounting clerk. I was going all the way up, you know, Miss CPA, and because I want the money, you know, take care of my family. Let's be real, you know.
Yeah, let's be real.
And then in the midst of that, I think Mark asked about the call. And and I had that call, and that call for me in film was in 2008, where I got up one morning and I just had this almost like this towering voice on the inside saying to me, I want you to make films that will teach the nations principles. And you know, and so I'm starting to think, what film? I don't even have anybody in my family that does film. As you know, Marielle says, you know, it's not the thing that you go to in the Caribbean if you want to make money. So I can't be, you know, as a little child coming up, you want to be a film what? You better go study some books, right?
Go get a real job.
Go get a real job. So,
Yeah.
so really, it is, I had that call, and, for me, I had to learn on the job, make a lot of mistakes, and, but following that call. And I know yesterday we were chatting a bit, and I was talking to you guys about the why. And that's the why. The why for me is a call that
Yeah.
makes it when we have to sell some of our possessions, our earthly goods.
Yeah.
Oh my
Wow.
God! I tell you,
Indeed.
that's my sister talking over there. When you have to do all of these different things to live that call, to follow through with that commitment, you go back to the why. When you
Oh,
can't
yeah,
pay
man.
the actors, and
Oh, yeah.
you don't have enough money to pay the crew, and you're ready to start filming, and the people you're renting the equipment from is threatening to come and pick it up if they don't get the
Yeah.
deposit. It is the why that keeps
Yeah.
you going. You know,
Mhm.
so really, you talk about some of the challenges. It's a lot of it is financial. I think as Caribbean people, Mariette Marielle would agree with me. We're very creative. There are no bounds
Absolutely.
to our creativity. We think big, and there's a lot of things that we want to do, but a lot of times it's we're limited, by the boundaries of financial
The
boundary.
finances. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
and those are some of the challenges. There are other challenges, but I would say that is the major one, the major hurdle that we have come up against.
For
Well,
me,
Absolutely.
I know
so
that I was called, my mother called me Mariette from her best friend who was an English teacher because she wanted me to follow her steps and become an English teacher. So it was kind of difficult for me to go to the family and say, oh, I want to work in films. So first of all, my family still don't understand what I'm doing. Up to this day,
what?
they don't really understand how I live, how I make money, where the money comes from, what am I doing, and most of some of them tells me, but why do you shoot in Guadeloupe in the Caribbean? Why don't you do some stuff with the not white stories, but they feel sorry for me that most of the stories I talk about come from the Caribbean experience.
Experience,
They're
yeah.
like, you should be doing things, that are broader, more mainstream.
Appeal to a
So
different audience, yeah.
a different audience. So it's very hard, to be even accepted. But I really decided that it was my true calling when, after working 12 years in advertising, I was a producer, and I produced wonderful commercials for Pepsi, Federal Express, Pizza Hut, great, impressive clients. But I realized that I didn't see anybody who looked like me in those commercials. They were not catered towards my people. And I never saw any of my stories from any of my experience. So I decided that, that I was going to become an independent filmmaker, and I made the jump, which was very difficult because I was living in a very sheltered environment as a TV producer working for a big ad agency. Life was very easy. So for me to leave that, to go on the other side,
Use risk.
it was tough. But I knew that I would. It was like an intuition. I knew that I had to do it because this is what I wanted to do, and I would have. I did not want to miss an opportunity and say 40 years later, oh well, I wanted to do that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Well,
So
well, despite it all, I thank you that you've done it, because of it, you've created some amazing works. And we're gonna just, these are some of your stuff that you've done so far, as well. And we're gonna take a look at some of this stuff from all you ladies. So, Mark, which one you want to start with first?
Let's as we are with Mariette, let's start with Mariette actually, because I think this I found this particular one very, very intriguing. Here we go.
À la première diplômée de la famille. Merci, maman.
Elsa, je suis fière de toi.
Tu vas faire quoi avec tout ce pognon?
Je vais m'acheter un billet d'avion et retourner là-bas.
C'est hors de question. Qu'est-ce que tu cherches? Qu'est-ce que tu espères trouver là-bas?
Dégagez.
Y a personne qui t'attend, Elsa. Personne.
Vous êtes la babysitter envoyée par l'agence?
Oui?
Si j'ai un conseil à te donner, reste pas trop longtemps dans cette famille.
Yes, I like that.
It is what I call proper ooh la la.
Yes, well, this was my first. Feature film, and it's partly autobiographical. So this is the film that I did with all my love, my heart. You know, I just had to talk about my own experience of a woman, a West Indian woman living in Paris, going back to her island where she was born to look for the father she's never met. So I've never met my father. And when I was about 20 years old, I said, okay, that's it. I'm going back. I'm looking for the dude. And I have to see his eyes. I have to touch his hands. He has to say, you know, you're my daughter. I love you. You're beautiful. And that never happened, by the way. You know, I did find him. But didn't work out like that. But this movie was very, it was like therapy for me. Okay. And once I made the film and I was able to turn the page, it was very difficult to make. It took 6 years to find the funds. And but it was worth it because once it was done, I was able to tour the world. I did a lot of speaking engagement in the universities in America. And I was paid really well for that. So to tell you that there's a real path, a real opportunity to make money, you know, depending on how you distribute your film. And after I made, you know, after I did about 2 to 3 years of film festivals and winning some awards, I was able to raise the interest of this is the award that I won at FESPACO, which is the biggest film festival in West Africa. And I won the award for best diaspora film.
Wow,
and after that, I was able to get some recognition from the guys because my colleagues always kind of see me like, oh yeah, that's the girl with freckles. She's trying to make films, or she's like, she's just a girl, you know. But so because I was always there, you know, and I did not take no for an answer, you know, they kind of gotten used to see me. And then when I won this award, it was like, okay, maybe we should take her more seriously.
Wow.
So it was nice, and I was able to get a distributor in America and in Canada, which is Kino Lorber, and this particular film is available on streaming and at kinonow.com.
Yeah, we'll share that link as well.
Yes,
for sure. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, good stuff.
Absolutely, and you know, it is intriguing, Marcia, when you see someone with no formal training, right, doing the kind of work that you have done and making the kind of stuff that you have done. And if I can pull up one of yours that has really left me going, wow. Let's start with this one, and you can tell us a bit more. Here we go.
This is a beautiful community. But over the last 6 months, crime has reared its ugly head in our community. I mean, it's too dangerous. You can't trust them.
They shot my arm, they look, they there! Did they see your face?
Dexter, isn't he the ex-con?
Yes, but hey, look, he said he changed.
You need to trust me.
Someone's watching us.
They're coming! I can't do this, Dexter.
As all of you know, or most of you probably know, our property was robbed.
There's another ambulance. Lord, protect my children. Dexter, we need money. What are you doing?
Wait on time! Get out! Get out!
Apart from a few of you and Faith, who lives in Baker's Village, no one else is willing to help in an after-school program for extra credits in this course. I'm thinking of staying in Baker's Village for a week.
You serious?
Yeah.
Whatever plantation it is that you crawl off of, if I was you, I would go back on it here. I want you back on here. Listen, you don't need to leave in here.
I work for them. And in all that time, they never once asked me to give my opinion about nothing in the house. So how the hell she get to come in here and give speech? Brought a black bastard in here for, huh?
It's between we. Boy, this no road tennis. Put down the gun. Let her go. Shoot the man, Roach. Shoot the man. You lose, Dexter. You lose.
Between we.
Ain't raw Dennis.
Man, I got one of the best lines
Best
ever.
lines I ever hear. Boy, this ain't raw Dennis. But that's a fantastic line. That's a
Tell us the story.
Tell us the story there.
Yeah.
I know, and even in the context of everything we were talking about as well, and what you've had to overcome to get that to the screen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that particular film, I remember when we started the process. I started writing, started researching. People thought that the whole issue of race relations in Barbados, that I shouldn't touch that. And that's what this film was about, really. And everybody coming together to deal with crime, because at that time our numbers were, increasing a bit. And, people told me, but what you're writing, that's not Barbados. This thing about crime, it's not Barbados. It's not us. Bajans. It's not Barbados. And, and that, the whole issue of race is not something that we really like talking about. So it was tough getting everybody together. Even on the set, there was tension on the set with the different people. Yeah, because we were, we now had actors from different ethnic groups, in one place. And we were, I've had to become outing so many fires, for the set. So it was really, really eye-opening, and it was a very difficult one. There was a time we thought that we would lose a whole section of actors weren't going to come back because
what was the situation
happening. We're not going to go into that too much, but more to say it all had to do with race and
tensions.
And
I was gonna
someone,
say
yes, race tensions and so on that was happening right there on the set.
But I think it tells us the need for us to tell our own stories, because this is real for us. I'd rather watch that than to watch, I don't know, one of the movies coming out to the United States talking about their racial experience. We have our own,
absolutely,
and we need to feel to be uncomfortable, because I mean, it's a good thing to be uncomfortable watching something like that, right? Because it's telling a story of what's real in our country and what we need to deal with. So I'd much rather watch that than see something else telling me about the same subject matter coming from overseas. You know, so I think that was fantastic.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Marcia, talking about research for that particular, for Vigilante, what was the type of research that you had to do to make it really believable? What sort of questions did you who did you talk to, Sarah?
Well, you know, I mean, apart from the regular thing, which is, you know, just going into historic data, I did a lot of interviews. In fact, I created a documentary out of the interviews and out of the research that I did about, you know, talking to white Barbadians and, you know, Indian Barbadians, Black Barbadians. So it a lot of the research came from interviews, from observing. You know, I went to a church that was predominantly white, you know, here in Barbados. Called the living room too. I was
very good.
I was able to do a lot of observing and just talking and listening to people, because it needed to be authentic. I did a lot of research, as I said, historical data as well, you know, about Barbados and why is it such a hush hush here, and why are people so scared, and why, you know, I'm a Jamaican, you know, been plopped inside of Barbados, so you know, it can get rough at times.
It can. You know, and Marielle, of course, you've done some fantastic work also. And guys in the audience, we're going to be sharing a lot of stuff with you guys today. Because
Andre, do you mind if I just speak to what Marcia was just saying?
Oh no, by all means, go ahead.
Hey, Marcia, I mean, how incredibly brave of you to tackle such a taboo subject in Barbados. I mean, I've traveled to Barbados so many times over my life, you know, since I was a little girl. It is so clear to the outsider how entrenched racial the races are, how separate, how self-segregating, and yet you know, at the same time, I've been to, for example, I went to the UN World Conference on Racism and Xenophobia a long time ago, and I was absolutely struck by what incredible advocates came out of Barbados. They spoke by far better than anyone else in the English-speaking Caribbean, and they advocated incredibly strongly for themselves. And yet, at the same time, I find that in Barbados, this issue of racism is so quiet. I mean, Trinidad people talk about these things all the time, but so quiet, like.
Well, in fact,
right.
Marielle, you know, if I can just answer and just say to Marielle that, unfortunately, what happened, which I think not unfortunately, I think you would know too, I was actually accused as the person trying to make this an issue in Barbados. So instead of, you know, instead of wanting to, okay, this is a challenge here, and let's work together and let's talk. You know, I was accused of you are causing trouble. You are causing. You are the one stirring it up.
Making an issue out of a non-issue.
It was really exactly. That's what they said.
Yeah, and that's honestly, when you speak about race in Barbados, that is honestly what happens. You get this is not an issue for us. Why are you making an issue? And that's just true.
It's so weird. I mean,
it's very weird.
You know, I mean, I, you know, it's interesting about the idea that you were the one making it the issue, because I mean, one of my most recent trips to Barbados, as I say, I've been going on holiday, I've been going to conferences, I mean, I've done work in Barbados, so I mean, it's a place that I've been to many times over the years. On one of my more recent trips, I was launching a book. I do another thing, which is I publish books on art with one of my dear friends and a business partner, Melanie Archer. And I'm very light and Melanie is very dark. I have straight hair, Melanie has dreadlocks. And it was really extraordinary to see that people
The interaction.
would either talk to me or talk to Melanie, but they would not talk to both of us.
Yes.
And the idea of the two of us, as you know, we're very close friends,
in business
just
together,
chilling together.
Wow.
It was a weird moment, but that's one of the gifts of being an outsider. When you say, Marcia, that you can see things and comment on things in a way that people from inside maybe feel less able to.
Yeah. Even for me as a Bajan, hearing you all speak is very eye-opening.
It is.
Because, growing up there and living there, it would have felt as though race was a thing that we dealt with by sort of living in our separate zones, in our separate social spaces. And that was how we unofficially agreed to do it, is how we learned to deal with it going on. So it's really insightful and to some extent inspiring, and to another extent a bit scary to hear that, because it is so dangerous when you have something that's not spoken about, because at any point in time it could just explode.
We still got a lot of work to do, for sure.
I want to jump in, and I wanted to say that I had the same issue, when my film Elsa came out, because I was mentioning one of the theme is colorism, and how what my father, for instance, told me when I met him, with kinky hair like yours, you cannot possibly be my father. You cannot possibly be my daughter. And I did not really understand what it meant, but it's because I have kinky hair, and he was very light skin, and he has a straight nose and straight hair, and he didn't really like people who had kinky hair, and so I was accused by many people of steering issues about colorism, and that in Guadeloupe everybody were from different skin colors, but we all lived happily ever after with no problem. And it was like, we all love each other. And I'm like, what? No, that's not my experience. I know that, people with darker skin, are sometimes, at the lower ladder, and are suffering more, maybe in silence, and don't express the fact that, people with lighter skin, gets maybe better jobs, or are having a easier time. And so because I put forward an issue that to me was had impact, some people were not happy with that. They much rather keep it, in a world where everything is wonderful, but it's not like that at all.
No, but I think it shows even from this conversation, it shows the importance of art, and the importance, Marcia, of people like yourself and Mariette bringing these issues to the screen, because generates conversation. It pushes the boundaries. It helps move things on. So don't mind the guys in Barbados telling you rubbish.
You're doing the right thing.
That's exactly the right thing.
Let's jump back on the reel, because I want to go to Marielle with this one.
Well, which one you?
My father was a poet. He seemed to write me into being.
Boo, I know you like to think, and I hope you're doing a lot of thinking and trying to understand everything you read and see. Because you have to take care of Mommy and Sass, and life can be very complicated.
I always felt that you and Dad had baggage with each other, that you all never really put down and left behind.
For 20 years now, I have thought and told you that you were somehow special.
People are never wrapped up neatly in little parcels with bows.
He was pretty clear about who were his friends. In some cases, one or two of them got cast out.
I think I was 8 years old when I really began to wonder what it meant to die.
Say goodbye to Earth. You will not see her again. Carry her, therefore, in your heart as in your blood, without estrangement.
If you were to die, I would surely lose my way.
May your flight be faultless, and your hand obey you at the last. May you find your lost companions. May your death be without pain. Now say goodbye to Earth. 30 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting.
Dave, if you could not so loud.
So beautiful. So touching. Tell us more.
Well, I'm a little bit emotional. I actually haven't looked
sorry.
at that. I haven't looked at that
It's touching.
trailer.
It's very, very touching.
Oh, I haven't actually looked at that trailer in a while, so I'm like a little bit overcome. Yeah, I mean, I was telling Andrea and I were having this conversation on the first time we spoke about what is a documentary and narrative films. How I think many people have this idea that documentary is about journalism and news and current affairs. And one of the joys of my career and of making that film in particular was stretching the boundaries of documentary to tell a story about my father and about my family, but to do so in a way that sort of had poetry, his poetry, and the sea at the very center of it. My dad and I, both Cancers. He's July, I'm at the end of June. And he grew up going to the sea, and we grew up sailing with him. And certainly he used to call me his water daughter when I was little, because I would go to the beach and basically spend the entire day in the sea. And of course, when you come from a small island and you come from the Caribbean, the sea is just there. It's there everywhere. It's around us at all times. I remember going to visit my friend Matthew in Barbados, and his grandparents literally lived across the street from the beach. You walked across the street and then you were on the beach. And this experience of the sea was so I had to kind of come up with a visual language for the film that actually really pushed my creative thinking, which was wonderful. And all of that Super 8 footage is reenactments that I worked with actors. I shot on Super 8 film. We shot in locations all over Trinidad. And, it was, for me, Mariette mentioned the idea of catharsis. Making the film was, for me, a very cathartic process. My dad died in 2009, and I started making the film in 2010. But it was so hard, very hard to make a film about someone you love so dearly when you're literally consumed by grief. And so I didn't really kind of really figure out the story until 2014. And that's when I started fundraising for the film. Like Mariette, it was a long process. It was 4 years of fundraising.
I love the line in there where you said, I felt as though he wrote me into being. That's such a...
Well, that's, all families have mythologies, right? All families have the stories that we tell over and over again. And that was a story that I heard so many times, that my father and my mom had several miscarriages, and she got pregnant with me, and she was terrified that she was going to miscarry. And my father, who had this kind of strange prescience about him, just said, no, she's going to be fine. She's going to be a little girl, and her name is going to be Marielle. And so we were very, very close when I was a child. I mean, the thing is that our relationship became much more complicated as I entered my sort of later teenage years, and much more difficult because of the force of his personality and then the force of my personality trying to emerge. And I think that I was talking to my husband about it the other day. I think when you have a very powerful parent, and I have two very powerful. Well, it's really hard to mix the tenses. I had a very powerful parent in my father, and I have a very powerful parent in my mother. There is a way that, you know, when you're sort of figuring out who you are, they've already there's a kind of way that they've done everything. You know, the idea that you have to rebel. What are you rebelling against? My mother married a black man. You know, she went on all these protest marches. She moved from England and a, you know, cushy life in England to, you know, a much less cushy life in the Caribbean. And so there's a way that you're still, as a teenager, going through this difficult and sometimes messy process trying to figure out who you are. And so that's how our relationship became very difficult. I mean, it was always very close, fiercely close, but it wasn't easy. And so when he died, I fell apart. I came very close to having a nervous breakdown. And I knew that I had to make the film. I had to make the film, just like Mariette said. It was illogical. You know, the idea of fundraising for a personal film, the budget of this film was about 105,000 US. And 105,000 US, yeah. And so you know, the idea, I always say that filmmaking in the Caribbean is completely illogical. It makes no sense. And yet we do it because it's in us to do it. It's in us to do it, and we love it.
It's another medium to tell our stories as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I was just going to come back there to that question of, you know, you talked about why, but sometimes I find why and who can sort of interplay with each other. And there's the why that inspires us to keep going. I say us because I do a little bit of writing as well, but not to the degree that you guys do.
Nothing close to what y'all ladies do.
No. But there's also the who, you know, and there's a person who inspires you as well, or people who inspire you. Obviously, Marielle, your dad had a part to play in your inspiration as a writer.
Absolutely, a very huge part in the way he shaped my understanding of the world. My mother as well. I mean, as I say, both incredibly larger than life personalities. If you met my sister today, you wouldn't believe that you could have so many huge personalities in one family, because she's like, you know, she's a powerful woman. And but you know, you trying to make a film about something so personal, so at times painful, at times lovely, make a film that includes your family members. I mean, you want a reality check in life, go and interview your mother and your sister about you.
No, thank you. I can imagine. I was gonna say, because that's really important to tell these stories, but I was gonna ask Marcia, why is it important that, you know, people like yourself exist? Why is it important that we tell our stories through film?
Oh, wow. You know, I was speaking to a young lady from Ghana, and she's from the Ewe tribe. And she was saying to me that a lot of the history of the Ewe people was through their stories, the stories that were passed down orally. And a lot of times with us in the Caribbean, like I remember when I was doing Barrow Freedom Fighter, the story of Errol Barrow, that it was so difficult to find information because we don't record as much, we don't keep proper records. And I think one of the things that we can do, and we are doing as filmmakers, and I think if we have the resources, we'll be better able to get it done, is to really tell the stories so that it can become like historical documentation. You know, my sister was just talking about her father. Now that story is told. It's a Caribbean story that is told, and her children will be able to see that story. It's documented, and will be able to see that story. And so is Mariette. I mean, I read up so much about her movie, didn't get to see it where I live. But I heard so much about that, and a lot of Caribbean people can relate to that kind of story. So it's important for us to document it. It's fun to do, yes, but it's a lot of we are preserving historical data. We are preserving history, through our stories.
And you touch on something there. You said you heard a lot about Elsa, but you didn't get to see it in Barbados.
Yes.
And maybe Mariette, perhaps you can jump in here. Do you feel we're getting the support from Caribbean cinema, Caribbean media, policymakers to make sure that our stories, as told by us, reach the
Well,
masses across the region?
Well, I mean, because I live in the French Caribbean, it's a little bit different than in the British Caribbean, where
Well, I'll come back
Trinidad,
to Marcia and
Tobago.
Marielle about that too. Yes.
Because in France, which is our mother country, France is very supportive of culture and cinema. So we do have the opportunity to get our film financed. I mean, it's difficult, but I think it's easier than for you guys, because when I hear that Marielle, had to make a film for 105 no, not for 100, for 100,000, and it took her 4 years. I mean, the budget of my film was a little bit more. It was about 600,000, and it took me 6 years. But it was I still get the opportunity to do it. It is true that our stories are not, when we apply for financing at the CNC, which is a cinema center for cinema in France, because the people who decide which films are going to be funded, they are not from the Caribbean. They don't have, they don't know our universe, our background. They tend not to pick our stories. So the fight now is to bring more people from our region into as decision makers. And that's what's happening slowly but surely, because you tend to pick, stories that you connect with and hang out with people that looks like you. So if we're not represented, among decision makers, very understandably, our stories are not gonna get financed. And I have to say that George Floyd, brought us filmmakers, put us back into the light, and it's so sad that we have to wait for somebody to die,
something like that, yeah,
for to bring light on our film. I know that since George Floyd died, my films are much more in the spotlight. In the spotlight, for instance, my distributor Kino Lorber did a playlist called Black Voices, Black Stories, and that playlist didn't exist before George Floyd died. So it is.
That event was a catalyst for
absolutely
people now paying attention to our stories. And Marcia, what about yourself? I mean, Caribbean cinema. If you look at the English-speaking Caribbean, I saw you and Dave, your husband, going all over the place to get people to watch Joseph and Barrow Freedom Fighter and what's not. But how was it received across the region, the cinema, to pick up your film? Do you find that there's a lot of barriers to that? Are cinemas and media houses even helping?
Well, I mean, we find a bigger market outside of the Caribbean, actually. Yes, it's we find the people in the diaspora, people like yourselves living in London. And we remember when we came to London with Chrissy, or any of the Hush movies. I mean, we came to show Chrissy, and then we had at that time DVDs were in, so we had like about 2 suitcases of DVDs, and we couldn't even put them out, before they were gone. And we went to, for example, we went to New York to have to screen our movie in New York. For we were going to do, I think, probably 5 shows. We ended up doing 10 shows and leaving the movie there to go, so we yeah, literally. But in the Caribbean, it becomes a little difficult. In Jamaica, for example, they would watch the movie, but then you have to promote, right? You have to market the film. And so what we've had to do is to do barters with the television stations, whether it's Jamaica, Antigua, send kids wherever we go. And we say, okay, we'll show in the cinema and then we will give you the movie in another year or something like that, to get them to play for us to market. So it's not that they want to come to see the movie, but they don't know about it. When a movie comes from Hollywood, we're watching it. The ads are running on the internet and they're running on cable TV and they're running, newspapers and so on. So you already know about the film. But when it comes to us in the Caribbean, we're not connected as one group, as a body, and so it's difficult to market to everybody, if you understand what I mean. So it's like this place and you have to go to this country, and worse for French speaking countries, we're not connected there at all. The English speaking, French speaking. I think I see Caribbean, which we're on. We have a relationship with them now through the show, my show, where they're really trying to get that synergy really happening, and for us to see the Caribbean as a block, really, and to be able to, some kind of distribution needs to happen across the Caribbean, but that's not happening now, and so those are hindrances regionally for us. For me as a filmmaker.
Can I come in there? In fact, before we move on, let's just say good evening to our friends at Caribvision, because we are live on Caribvision today as well. So good evening. And we talk about finance, inspirations, and the like. But the one question that I would like to ask is about regulatory framework, and how is that perhaps inhibiting what you are trying to do across the region? Do you feel as though you have to do so much to protect your work because the frameworks that need to be in place aren't in place, so therefore you end up having to work even harder to try to protect the work, and then you kind of constantly going around this cycle? What does that feel like?
Listen, I went to, if I could just answer this real quickly, and I don't want to hog the show, but went to Antigua to screen my movie, to screen Hush. And someone went into the cinema and, I think it was coming from Barbados, actually. Someone pirated the movie in Barbados. And so we had to stop screen. Well, we weren't getting any money after they, once they pirate the movie, that's it. So, so we were in Antigua and doing well until I noticed the numbers were dropping because the pirated movie got to Antigua, right? And I was trying to get them to stop it, the police and so on. But as you talk about regulations and all of that, it was even so difficult to even find a lawyer that understand copyright. That's a whole nother thing. I don't know if the others can have any insight about that. But at that particular time, to even understand how to deal with my situation, I was losing money. My film was on the street. What can I do? What can
There's
you do?
No protection in place.
There's no protection. There's no protection. And then between countries too, even the cinema there were people in Antigua. Some of them still owe us money, and it's very difficult to cross that border to get them in Antigua. It's just tough. Not to mention, guys, when you're talking about the banking situation, paying, doing business and paying. We're not set up. We're not ready. We're not set up really for that kind of distribution and the, that kind of working among ourselves, it's not really set up. So it's been very frustrating. So it's easier for me to go off to the US and UK, Canada, all over, to promote and to distribute the film there than it is between ourselves in the English-speaking Caribbean, and worse yet in French or Spanish-speaking Caribbean.
Wow.
Marcia, you raised lots of interesting points, and I also want to speak to the previous point prior to what you were discussing, is that, you know, I do think, sorry guys, my dog is
Yeah, that's fine.
he's coming back to me, and I wish he would just go and stay downstairs, but he goes trotting off downstairs barking.
He loves you.
Comes trotting back up. Yeah.
And he can hear the Caribbean accents too, so he's happy.
I just wanted, he is not an English dog. I have to tell you, he came from Trinidad. So English dogs don't bark, but he barks. He is a Caribbean dog through and through. Anyway, I just wanted, there's so many interesting things that you raised there. I think that the challenge of distribution within the region can at times be absolutely heartbreaking. You know, you ask a really good question, you guys. How can we see these films? It's too good a question. It should not be an important question. Unfortunately, because of the way distribution in the Caribbean works, and because of the frankly irresponsible way that broadcasters, terrestrial broadcasters within the region treat content. The issue
treat regional
of
content. We think we should qualify that. Treat
any
regional
content, any content. Don't think they treat other people's content any better. We have a painful history of television broadcasters pirating content in the early days, cable broadcasters pirating content, Flow. I mean, these are channels that didn't pay any fees to big companies like HBO for many, many years. I mean, up to recently. I mean, I'm not talking days of yore. I'm talking like, so there's a fundamental disconnection in one's understanding of what a television station is. A television station exists for two reasons: to provide entertainment to audiences and to make revenue from advertisers, right? I mean, but so if in a kind of logical way, if you were speaking to a Caribbean audience and you wanted to entertain a Caribbean audience, is there something in you that would say, I can't just show Grey's Anatomy? I mean, there must be something in you that says, actually, what are the Caribbean stories that I can show? The challenge for us as a region is our history of colonialism has left us with the most horrendous self-loathing, as evidenced in Barbados, as evidenced constantly in Jamaica, in Trinidad, where if it come from foreign, it better. It has to be better if it come from foreign.
And we will walk out and buy rubbish like Dukes of Hazzards.
Exactly. With the flag spread all over the car.
The idea of excellence happening within the Caribbean, we talk about creative people and talented people, but we don't talk about excellence. And I feel that's one of the things we have to start addressing. How do we as a region attain excellence? Brian Lara was an excellent Batman, like the top of the top. Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not a big cricket aficionado. I know the politics, the geopolitics of Brian Lara, etc. But he was a phenomenal batsman. V.S. Naipaul, Derek Walcott. These are people who are operating at the highest level of their craft, right? And so how do we... The challenge is, although writing a novel is very, very hard, it's something that one person does. Making a film requires 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people, highly skilled professionals.
And a multifaceted skill sets as well to intertwine.
I mean, so while, I have my father was a writer and I know how hard that is. when you have a situation in the region where the television stations are refusing to pay for your content, it doesn't even occur to them that you should pay, that they should license your content. What they ask you to do is give it to them free of charge, or
Exposure.
no, give it to them free of charge, or worse yet, pay them
to get it on.
Pay them for airtime. This is, and this is a travesty.
But here's
this
the thing,
horrendously inequitous. I mean, it is not, to say it is unfair is a terrible understatement, but that is so, it is profoundly unfair.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Some of this you can fix quite easily, I'll use Marcia as the example. The current Prime Minister of Barbados has a majority. She has no opposition.
Super majority.
She could go to Parliament tomorrow with a piece of legislation if she wanted to start to fix it. You see, too often when we talk about culture, we get too sidetracked by just the music, the festivals. We don't put the right legislation around it to help protect people who need to come through and do it properly. So I think some of this we got to lay at the floor of our governments, as we always do in this show. We always have a piece in here where we say, "But what are the governments doing? They're not doing enough, and they can do a lot more."
Yeah,
they can do a lot more. Absolutely.
I mean, to speak to some of the work that FilmCo, the organization of which I'm a co-founder, was doing in Trinidad, we lobbied for 3 years to get our national taxpayer-funded television station to broadcast films made by Caribbean people.
Wow.
Not just to broadcast, but to pay for them. This is really important. Who is going to invest in your film if there is no way for the film to ever enter a profit situation?
Correct.
Right?
Act in your film. The players.
I mean, no, you can pay actors. People will act. You just pay. If you're paying people, you're giving them a job. That's one thing.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the fact that distribution represents the closing of the loop in terms of the value chain of film and television, right? Distribution is where you make the money to pay your investors. It's where you make the money to make your next film. It's where it's where the whole revenue industry side of the business comes into play. But it's not a part of our experience in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting, going back to what Marcia was saying, there are things we tell ourselves as Caribbean people. There are things we will discuss and things we will not discuss. There are things we will challenge and things we will simply not challenge. And so with FilmCo, we were able, after 3 years, to finally get our national Trinidad and Tobago television station broadcasting for these content from around the region and the diaspora. Mariette's film showed.
And I got paid.
She got paid. Everybody got paid. The problem is that as soon as they could extract themselves from the contract, they did.
Wow.
TTT did. They extracted themselves from the contract as quickly as they possibly could.
Imagine that.
Because of this idea of paying reasonable, equitable fees for our work. Mariette worked for 6 years to raise just the production money. Just the production money. 6 years of work. I mean, and then, just the making of the film itself is incredibly hard. And then somehow this, and with other cultural products as well, there is this idea that the product itself has no value within the Caribbean. And I mean, and yet we understand, this is this weird disconnect that we have. We understand that Hollywood is an industry of enormous value. We understand that the pop music industry in the USA has enormous value. And so one of the fundamental tenets of Filmco is we will not give our content away for free. We will not. And we are all filmmakers who founded the organization. You don't have to, we're not asking you necessarily to pay the highest fee that, we don't want to dig out anybody's eyes, but equally we must be able to advocate on behalf of ourselves for the value of the work that we're doing.
Well, let's move that conversation on distribution on a little bit, and let's go back on the reel, because I want to get through some of these, showcase some of this stuff before we actually get out today. So, Mariette, let's jump on this one. Let's look at this.
Isabelle Béranger. I'm from Fouillard, the University of Guadeloupe.
Your internship's been canceled. A month ago, I sent you a letter. We cannot have any more trainees from Mexico.
Officially, I meet Isabelle from Guadeloupe.
Ooh, that sounds fancy. Guadeloupe. Where's that at?
Girl, in the French West Indies.
In grad school? You like Ophelia.
I thought you were friend with us on Facebook. What's your status? I always say single, just to keep my options open.
Be grateful for what you have. You're blessed with a lot already.
I told you to dump his ass. I told everyone that he was the one. And now I feel like a fool. Oh, Shoutout, look at you. You could be so selfish sometimes.
I did not know who he was.
If you want to stay here, you better shape up, all right?
If I'm over for a piece of advice...
I really don't think that's necessary. Why? Because I'm trying to save your life.
Tu joues les bad boy, ouais les bad killer.
You gotta stand up for yourself.
Mon killer. Le cap flexé en benz, bima.
Mr. Bob.
Hi, Antoine. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Damn, Izzy. What did I do?
I don't know, but you look good though.
Give me that.
Can you give me that? Pan bed, pan floor, give me that.
So funny.
I gotta say, I want to see this.
Antoine.
I need to see this. This is missing in my life. I need to watch this. I honestly need to watch this movie.
Well, this is the TV series that I'm trying to develop. It's called Caribbean Girl NYC. It's the story of 4 Caribbean women in trying to look for love and success in New York. One is from Guadeloupe, the other one is from Jamaica, Barbados, and Jamaica. Okay. So it looks like I'm getting closer and closer to making it happen, and hopefully we'll be shooting from depend on COVID at the end of the year or early next year. I don't know.
It's a bit like Sex in the City, but a lot better.
It's Sex and the City Caribbean style. Yeah,
I like it. I saw that trailer. I was like, I need to watch this. This looked like
man.
It's us. I need to see that. That's fantastic.
There is something very interesting that is starting that I noticed. I don't know if you guys are noticing it as we've been preparing for this and watching so many Caribbean films. There's just something really intriguing when you see a place that you know, or people that a place you can identify with, people you can identify with. It just suddenly brings a completely different feel to the film.
Yeah.
My sister watched films from, I don't know, Marcia, have you ever submitted your work to the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival? Because I really think you should.
Yes, we have. We had Hush 2, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Hush 2. We've always been, missing the deadline because of when we're filming and so on. But Hush 2 has been there.
Because I would also love, talking business here for Filmco, to have a chat with you about your work. Because I think, because one of the things that we have done is in response to the fact that the terrestrial stations in the Caribbean are so averse to paying for content is we've decided to try and go it alone.
Yeah.
And we have formed a partnership with a technology provider in Trinidad. And we have recently launched an online platform called Filmco to Go, which is designed for anybody anywhere in the world to be able to subscribe and watch films and television shows from around the Caribbean.
That's fantastic.
So it launched on the 21st of February.
Recent, very recent.
Very, very recent. And we are, as you're talking, we are launching our marketing and building our marketing for the platform and for the content on the platform.
Is it live now then, is it?
It is live now, yeah.
Is it live now? Okay, we'll
Yes,
share
it's
that
called,
in the-
you
we'll
go
put
to
it in the comments, guys.
filmco.org/filmco to go, the digit two, to
We'll
go.
put it in the comments. We'll put it in the
Yeah.
comments.
So I'd love to get, we see our audience as being primarily people in the Caribbean diaspora. So we would love to get Caribbean diaspora folks subscribing to the platform, because there is something magical about turning on the television or switching on your laptop or sitting in a cinema and hearing people talk like you.
Absolutely.
And telling jokes that you recognize.
Yeah.
I heard a young lady in one of Marcia's film saying the other day, "You can get 5 lashes on your boxy."
Yeah, we need to see ourselves. We definitely need to see ourselves.
See
on the
ourselves,
screen.
hear our own
Yeah.
reflections, hear
Yeah.
our own
No,
experiences.
and I mean the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, this is
Mm.
not to say that the stories we should tell or have to be stories about how great the Caribbean is. I mean, to the contrary, I think
Real stories as well.
So
I think you should
Marielle,
read.
is it like a Netflix for the Caribbean?
It is like a Netflix, yes.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
It is a subscription
That's great.
platform.
That's great. I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Maria.
Go ahead, Marcia.
No, I was saying that you were talking about, the fact that we've had to do stuff to help ourselves. And, what we've been doing since the COVID time, we've been showing the film ourselves. So before COVID, we were actually in New York, different parts in the U.S., showing the film through what's the name of that big AMC. They took our film, right? Thank God for that. But it didn't last long. We didn't even last the week that COVID came and we were out of that cinema.
Oh,
cinema.
no.
It was closed down. We started to see the drop in the numbers by about 4 days in, right? And so that was a big hit for us. And so what we did, I came home and we started to screen the movie. So today we're laughing. We have we became a cinema. So we have two screenings happening today. One at 5. That's why some of you might have heard my husband talking. He was welcoming the people in another room.
Oh, okay. Very good.
And so we screen online. And so if people want to see our films, we're definitely going to check out Filmco. I didn't know that you guys started that. Definitely going to check them out. But we also, if you check our website, stepbystepfilms.com, we do have information there, and where you can see how you can see our films. But we have started to do it ourselves because we had bills to pay. You can't sit and wait. So
yeah, and I'd like to jump in also to plug my VOD.
Go ahead.
My VOD. We have video on demand, a site that started by a woman called Marie-Claude Pernel. It's called Cine Deal, and it's got and there is all the different films by Caribbean directors available on that website. It's not subscription based, so it's you don't have to. You only pay for the films that you see. You don't have to be registered, and the films are between $1 to $5. And if you can put the website on,
we got it there. It's going to go on our chat as well.
Yeah, and it's a Cine Deal. If you type Cine Deal, VOD. You can find it online,
Go straight in there.
and
So guys, we've got it in the chat.
it's a new initiative. It started last year, and we're building it, slowly but surely. And I think my wish would be that also English and Spanish Caribbean films could be part of the platform.
No, that's fantastic. But let's take another look at another reel here, because this one has fast become my favorite over time. I really like it. I love the accents. I love everything about it. Let's take a look at this one, Marcia.
Here's the 6 years of torture. And finally, freedom.
Joseph, you've done all you could. Deal with it.
Joseph, promise me you will go.
A lot of the things I read about Africa freaks me out.
My guy, I keep telling you, you're reading the wrong books.
There's some things that are just non-negotiable. And that's the use of bush medicine in my hospital. Never gonna happen. That's what Granddad made his living from in a compound. And we know he was a master at this.
You bringing the bush in the hospital?
Darth, enough.
No, we are a family of professional doctors. Let's all learn.
Everyone walks through these doors. They're expecting a miracle.
Preserving the family legacy is also your responsibility.
You are descendant of Nani, many mighty warriors.
Granddad was saying that it was...
Granddad, every time you open your mouth, his name come out of it. You know what I had to endure under that man's hands?
So because of that, you're going to stop me from living the life that I want to live? Hell no! I'm done with pleasing you and everybody else.
I hate you! What are you looking at?
You should stay away from me. I'm Poison Joseph.
Is that ganja smoking Rasta girl, right?
Look, Mom, even if it is, it's still my decision. How do you know my name?
Where do you see my son? You're like a candle that cannot be hidden under a bushel.
Where are you going?
To look for my son?
I'm making you!
No, pass out!
I'm on a journey to reconnect with my ancestry.
Many more will find their way home.
May the souls of my two heroes rest in peace. I'll be there in Ghana with you. Yeah? That's not how we talk.
That's how you talk.
Wow.
Fantastic.
It was huge.
I saw that monkey ball, I saw that monkey
ball.
It was huge.
I really love that movie. I watched it on Amazon Prime. It's there, guys, if you want to see that. I know that's the one you're screening as well. Through your own
screening right
platform.
now, going on. I'm hearing it.
Oh, you got a screening. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, screening
I love it.
Happening.
And the thing I really love about Joseph
Thank you very much, Andre. Thank you.
I really love the way how I can hear so many accents from across the region. So it's a Caribbean film, as opposed to, say, you're based in Barbados, so a Bajan film, or you're Jamaican, so a Jamaican film. It's a full-on Caribbean film, and I really like that. That really got me as I was watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it was very very important for me that we were authentic.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when when we are telling our stories and we can make those decisions, right?
Yes.
We wanted to make sure that the accents were real. And so while it would have been much cheaper for me to film everything here in Barbados where I live, and probably just let the actors, my Ghanaian actors come in and the Jamaican actors come in. You know people here, and as filmmakers, you know how it goes, Marielle. You are selling a favor here and so on with lunches and all of that. We could have done it for way cheaper, doing it here in Barbados or filming it in Jamaica where I'm from. But for me, the accents needed everything. I wanted to take people on a journey. I wanted people in the West Africa to visit Barbados, authentic Barbados, and visit authentic Jamaica. And for Jamaicans and West Indians who have never been to Ghana, to Accra, to Kumasi, to never seen the slave castles. I wanted to take them on a cinematic journey that they could see it, you know, and they could be there and they could feel it. And, you know, I'm talking all of this and I'm telling you, it nearly killed us. Money, the money, I'm telling you.
I'm curious to know how you finance
and what was your budget? Yeah, and what was your budget?
Well, I mean, it's a long. Okay, so the budget on the paper was 500,000 US. Okay. But we, you know, lots of cutting and contriving, so it will be about 350 US.
Wow.
And yes, we got some help from governments. There were some that backed out and left us stranded. The Caribbean is an interesting place. Very interesting place.
Oh yes.
And that's much I would say about that. I am telling you, those stories, I tell you.
That's another show. That's another show completely.
A person of shame. I could embarrass so many people right now. But,
don't do that.
Don't do that. We leave it. But no, I won't do it. I won't do it. I have.
It's amazing what you've achieved.
I have too much integrity to do that. But let me tell you something. You know, I want to thank God for Miss McLean. She's a Barbadian, and she saw what we were going through and how we were let down after being told what they were going to do because of tourism and so on and so forth. So that's how, you know, and and she said, there is no way that a film of this nature is not going to be finished. Because after Jamaica, I was ready to pack up. We flew to Jamaica. We filmed there first. And I said, we can't do it. I was crying almost every night. I can't. They were going to put us out of the apartment. We were all staying in, you know, and that's real. I like to be transparent, guys. You know, it's real.
I think it's important to our audience here what you guys go through.
Yeah, and then Miss McLean came in and just, I mean, she basically rescued the project. Because we were about to give up, and you know, she invested some, and some was a loan, you know, and so that we can get it done. In addition to that, I mean, God is so good. You know, I'm a person of faith, and we were in Jamaica filming, and I was rehearsing. I was actually rehearsing Miss Kitty and is a personality in Jamaica. Jamaicans here that is going to laugh.
Yes, no, Miss Kitty.
Miss Kitty, who's in the film? Miss Kitty, Chantel, and Alison, some of the greatest women in the Caribbean. Alison Hines, the queen of soca. And I got a call, guys. I got a call. Get down to Pegasus Hotel now. I was in my slippers, people. Go down. The president of Ghana is in Jamaica. And I had I got the driver. I said, you have the key? He said, yes, he's ready. I said, I jump in my slippers. And I mean, I was fine up here, you know. And I ran and I got to Pegasus Hotel, and myself and my producer, Marietta Carton Narcisse, and we got to see the president of Ghana. And because he heard about the film and they wanted to talk to us. And he said, you know, this is when we were wondering whether we were going to go to Ghana or we're going to cut it short and, you know, forget the whole thing. And he said, listen, if you promise me, he said, promise me you're going to finish this film. I said, I am going to do it. And he says, listen, when you get to Ghana, we will take care of accommodation. We'll put you up in a hotel. We will feed you. We will provide transportation. We will give you all everything you need. Once you land there, you don't worry about anything.
Well done.
That's incredible.
In addition to that, they paid for a premiere for us in Ghana. We
Imagine
had
that,
the best premiere. I mean, well put together, big in Ghana. And so you know, God comes through in so many different ways. But let me tell you, this thing near kill us. I tell you.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. The thing near kill you. Yeah. After I finished with Unfinished Sentences, I was exhausted. I mean, just the exhaustion of the fundraising and the production and the post-production. I just stopped. It took me 2 years to start, 3 years to start working on my next project. Really, I mean, I had all these ideas, but I just couldn't. I couldn't.
But you're working on your...
would you mind if I tell you about the project I'm working on?
I was just going to segue to that, actually.
Yeah. In fact,
I was going to say, you got a video there, Mark?
Yeah, 1990.
You have a video? No, don't show them. Oh God, don't show the video. Oh, I beg you. No, don't show the crowdfunding.
We want to see it. We want to see it. We want to see it.
Okay.
We all know it's work in progress.
Show the video. No. It's a crowdfunding video. But go ahead.
Let's go.
Hello, my name is Marielle Brown, and I'm the producer, director, and writer of 1990, Before, During, and After. I've been working in this business for a long time now as a documentary, film, and television producer, and I've wanted to tell the story of the attempted coup of 1990 for equally as long. I was 16 years old when the attempted coup of 1990 happened in Trinidad and Tobago.
The government of Trinidad and Tobago has been overthrown.
It made an enormous impression on my life, and telling this story in documentary form feels almost like a personal duty. With 1990 Before, During, and After, I'll be exploring the circumstances that gave rise to the coup, what happened during those fateful 6 days in 1990, and the consequences of that moment on our national psyche. I'm more determined than ever to get this story made. It is too important to let it disappear to the encroaching sands of time. So I'm asking for your help to make the series. It has been a really difficult one to fundraise for, and that's because it's a difficult story, full of pain for people from Trinidad and Tobago. But I know that it matters to many, many people, and that's why I'm reaching out to you to ask for your support in helping me raise money to get this series made. If you know my work, you know that I've been working with archive and history for a very long time now. I produced Inward Hunger, an intimate portrait of our first Prime Minister, Eric Williams, the series West Indies at War, Within These Walls, and most recently the personal film Unfinished Sentences. I brought together a talented team to help me research, film, and produce the story of 1990 and its aftermath. And I'm so hoping that you'll help me by pledging a contribution or making a donation to this campaign, and also by sharing the link as another way of supporting. Thank you so very much, and I look forward to sharing this really important series with you.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
That's really important.
Very.
Congrats.
That's such an
Can you put the link up? Do I dare ask? Can you put the link up?
The link's gonna go in on the chat. It's
okay,
going
good.
in as we speak.
Wow, Marielle, that's awesome. That's awesome, and I really feel that, and the importance of telling that story. I could remember where I was, in Jamaica when we heard it was scary, and we were in Jamaica, we felt scared. So
and imagine in Barbados, that next door.
I just want to commend you for that, and we need to keep doing this. As you know, we did the one on Barrow, and then there's Manly, there's all these wonderful. There's Maurice Bishop, who I love.
Bishop.
There's all of those stories, man.
You gotta tell them.
We have to tell them.
Well,
God bless you, Marielle.
Thank you. I mean, the thing is, there is no shortage of stories to tell, right?
No.
It's just we have to find a way to do it. you know.
Yeah, indeed.
And so, interestingly, crowdfunding has become a massively useful way for filmmakers within the Caribbean to get some money. You're not going to get your whole budget through crowdfunding, but to get some money to move your project forward while you continue trying to get sponsorship and find an investor and stuff like that. And so, so we've done I've done 5 months of research on the project. I actually tried starting it 10 years ago. But I was too young, and I'm really glad I didn't start then. I'm much more experienced now, and it's a really interesting and complicated story with many layers. Which is it's absolutely captivating. I mean, we've done loads of pre-interviews and research interviews with incredible people, and I was talking to and I've been doing them via Zoom. So I have a little crew in Trinidad. We set up the laptop, they're filming on the ground there, and then I'm like talking to the interviewee, which I was frightened wouldn't work, but we've actually found a way to make it work really well. And because of course I can't go to Trinidad because borders are closed. But anyway, so one of the people I was interviewing said to me, "Are you finding this interesting?" And I just said, "This is absolutely riveting. It's extraordinary. I mean, it is." You know, we interviewed Selby Wilson. Selby Wilson was the Minister of Finance at the time, because of course, when the Red House was taken by the Muslimin, there was a sitting of Parliament going on.
Yes, there was.
And so Selby Wilson, a very dignified man, now in his early 80s, he was hog-tied and beaten. And when you have someone like Selby look at you with no pity, there was no self-pity, there was no self-aggrandizement, it was purely matter of fact. He looked at us and he told us what happened to him. It's absolutely compelling, and I realize that one of the things this documentary is doing is finding a place to put these stories that they can be accessed, and also just to pay homage to the people who lived through that horrendous, terrifying moment. I mean, the coup is one of those things we kind of talk about, but we don't really talk about, but we kind of talk about it in Trinidad. But people, 30 years later, people have cried in the pre-interviews with me, recounting what happened to them 30 years before.
Pain is still real, man.
Oh, absolutely. It's a gaping wound. And so it's a profound honor that they are trusting me with their stories.
You have got to do this. You have got to carry
Well, I need some money.
Gotta carry it.
Guys in the audience, we put the link there. So if you can click and put some money in there, let's get this stuff done.
Absolutely.
There it is on the screen there again. We gotta get this stuff done.
And let's just remind ourselves, we're coming to the end, but I want to make sure that we showcase this properly. And here's one of yours again, Marcia, with a story that is very important to Barbados and the Caribbean.
Mr. Lee, it does seem on the face of it that you are indeed an idiot and cannot chair a meeting. What can you do for a man who is living at subsistence level after you have profited? I want to know what kind of mirror image do you have of yourself. This is what I am concerned about. We're the black workers in the small island of Barbados where I am from. One does not join a club if one cannot afford to pay the dues oneself. Do not wait until the end of the month. Close your offices and be out of Barbados in 2 days.
He was resolute when he's making his decisions on behalf of the people of Barbados.
He strongly believed that service to the country should not be financially driven. Politics for him was about duty.
We were hoping that you could find a little something for either of us to do.
Your constituency representative is Al Hopkins, right?
It's about that piece of land in St. Lucie that belonged to my father.
I am not signing this.
What are you doing in my house at this hour of the morning?
Errol Barrow was among the dominant figures in the political landscape of Barbados for more than 2 decades.
Nobody has ever been revered in history for having become the richest man.
Yeah, God is.
Wow.
Yeah. I haven't seen this one as yet, but it's right there on my Amazon Prime there. To watch. I've got to see that this week.
Yes,
So it's right there.
Yes, yes. Barrow freedom fighter. And again, it's a film like what Mariel is doing, where making sure we document.
Absolutely.
And we have our that opportunity to do that. Through film, and so we want to make sure that we're doing that. I know we're coming to the end, and there is a young man in Barbados that I really want to talk about. Something that he is doing. It's coming up. His name is Stockton Miller, and a young guy and who is passionate about film, and he has a new film that's going to come out that they're going to start. It's called Into the Darkness, but he's trying to raise some money. And I told him, I said, I know how it is. I know. I'm still raising to come for mine, but I just want to kind of reach back and give back to him.
No,
I thought, yes, I thought it's Board House Productions, and his name is Stockton Miller. And the feature film is called Into the Darkness, and they're trying to get started at the end of this year, and they're looking for $15,000. And I know I'm trying to help them to get their crowdfunding set up, and which is another thing. It's difficult for them to get the crowdfunding without a U.S. account. Let's just be real. These are the issues that we're having here.
Real issues.
Real issues. But they're going to set up something. I'm trying to help them, but he's this is not his first film, and he produced Barbados' first sci-fi film. This guy did, and it was premiered in 2019 at Lime Grove, and he's won the 40-hour film challenge and so on and so forth. But if you're listening, his name is Stockton Miller, and you could also just email us stepbystepfilms@gmail.com, stepbystepfilms@gmail.com, and as soon as they have their site set up, I'll be able to to send that to you so that you can help.
Please do. We'll push it.
This is one way you can help young people, guys. We need to help them. We have to reach back and we have to help. So this is Stockton Miller from Board House Productions, and if you can help him, please.
Absolutely fabulous. And that's what we're here for.
And I'd like to say, because we're reaching the end, I just heard back from the head of the Cine Deal, the VOD platform. They do take films in English and in Spanish. So if different Caribbean filmmakers from Trinidad, Barbados, Tobago, or wherever would like to have their film on the platform, they're welcome to submit it and to contact CineDeal.com.
Cinedine?
Yes, can you put the
the link is in our page, but I'll share it with everybody.
Okay,
we'll put
no
it.
problem. Thank you so much.
We'll share it. That's not a problem. But I see someone there saying, these documentaries and what's not similar to Barrow, similar to what you're doing with 1990, need to be shown across the region in schools. Absolutely. All that kind of stuff, because Barrow, of course, was not just important to Barbados. He was important to the entire region. When you think about so many different things that he was involved in, and what happened in 1990, and even with Grenada Morris Bishop and what's not. These are stories that the whole Caribbean should be hearing about.
I mean, one of the great things we've been able to do, I personally have done is, for example, my film Inward Hunger is on the school's approved materials list in Trinidad. So actually schools are allowed to use it as a teaching material if they choose. Unfortunately, we're not at the stage yet where schools in Trinidad are actually buying DVDs or films. But I think we're going to get there. I think COVID has pushed that much quicker, actually. So, yeah, I mean, I do think it's really important that these things get shown at schools. I mean, for us as well at the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival, last year we ran the festival completely online. We could get people from anywhere in the Caribbean could watch. We will have a massive online component again this year. It's from the 22nd to the 28th of September. We are hoping that it'll be a global reach festival this time. That really depends on the filmmakers, not the technology, but whether the filmmakers want their films to be shown globally rather than regionally. It's a complicated question of the life cycle of a film and how festivals perceive the life cycle of the film. But we'd love to encourage and get more Caribbean viewers looking at the festival and all the great films again this year. Because as my sister who watched the film festival, she lives in Jamaica. She watched the film festival from Jamaica. And she said, I've never seen films like this where I understand the backstory in every single film. No, but it does something to you. You are recognized. You are recognized, and your story is valued. And it does something to you as a human being to feel that you matter and your story matters, and you can actually see yourself reflected. And so the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival is a big part of one of the major things that happens within the Caribbean every year to promote Caribbean film and Caribbean audiences, Caribbean filmmakers. So hopefully we'll be able to have a much wider audience engagement this year. We just finished a Carnival film series in February, which we beamed out to the entire world. We showed something like 10 films over 8 days, free of charge, to anybody anywhere in the world. All films about Trinidad Carnival, because Carnival was cancelled this year. And it went really, really, we had 30,000 views. So I think it's great to be able to have the opportunity to talk about things that are happening, because it's not just a void. There are things happening. People are trying to get out into the world and to share the stories that we're telling, and I really appreciate the ability to share that.
No, thank you for taking
and I appreciate the ability to be part of this conversation, because so often, because we're French speakers, we are not invited or not part of the conversation. And I think what needs to happen is to really create a union, a United Nation of the Caribbean as far as filmmaking is concerned. Because I feel, a lot so isolated, and because I speak French, I'm not, I don't take part of events. So thank you for inviting me and recognizing that we exist.
You have come to the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival.
Yes, exactly, twice.
And you are represented by Filmco, are you not?
Yes. You are the only film festival and the only person that recognizes that. I think other islands in the Caribbean are not so sensitive about that representation. So thank you, Marielle, for the work that you're doing with Filmco. And I'm also a member of Filmco, and hopefully I'll be next year at the film festival. But that needs to happen everywhere in the Caribbean.
I
Yeah.
agree. Because
Yeah.
there's some really excellent. It's really some really excellent stuff that's out there.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
we showcase your stuff today, but you look at other people doing some great stuff across the region. But I don't think as a region we know about it.
Yeah.
We don't fully know the extent of what is there. We might see
We
the
have
odd
to
thing
work
here and
harder.
there.
Yeah, for instance, I would love to see Marsha's film. So
Yeah, so would I.
they're-
That's why I asked
Yeah.
about the film festival and Film Co. And so I'm going to get your email address, Marcia, after this, and we're going to drop you a note.
And I mean, I can't wait for 1990. And Mariette, I've been just watching pieces and reading up on you. So it's an honor meeting you, woman.
Thank
It's
you.
awesome. Keep up the good work.
Thank you,
This
Marcia.
is
I
fantastic.
appreciate that. Didn't even know that people were interested in my work in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Now
I
you
swear.
do, and there's more interest now because I telling you, Caribbean Girl NYC, that needs to come to the screen. Seriously,
Bring it to the screen for Andre, please.
it needs to happen. So make that happen for sure. But look, guys in the audience, thank our guests for being with us and staying with us for more than 2 hours, actually, because there's so much we could have gone into. I saw Michael Commonbatch ask a question there just now about what's UE's role, University of West Indies, are they helping, what role they're playing in this. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Guys in the audience, just say thank you to everyone and just make them feel loved. We had some tremendous ladies in. Mariette, Marielle, doing some fantastic stuff. We're sharing the pictures that you guys can see what they're up to. And these are 3 ladies doing excellent thing. I think someone spoke about excellence in the Caribbean earlier in the show. I don't think when you look at, what you guys are producing and what you're going to be producing, I don't think anyone can say they're anything but excellent. I think they're fantastic. And we know that with our support, they'll only get better and better and better. And that's what they need. They need our support. So, ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an honor having you. Thank you for taking your time to spend with us in our living room.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.
That was wonderful.
It's an honor being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It was wonderful, and let's do this more often.
Please come back. Please come back.
Oh, okay.
And I'm gonna and go and check Filmco, their platform. Go and check Cinedeal, our platform. Let's watch each other's films and support each other, because the only thing that's going to work is that if we watch the films. Let's not forget, we have to watch the films. We have to click. We have to click, because that's how it works. The click, the millions of views. That's it.
Absolutely.
And not only watch, because just as we heard earlier, watch them legally and pay for it.
Yes.
Please.
Yes, and don't buy no pirate DVDs.
Oh,
Marcia, I felt for you. Oh,
exactly. In Barbados, if you're in Swan Street and somebody offering you a DVD from Step by Step, say no, thank you.
No, thank you.
and people say that DVDs are dead, but yesterday I did a series of dedicates of my DVDs of my first feature, Elsa. I was at a bookstore, and I was shocked to see that people actually bought the DVDs. I sold so many DVDs to even people who did not have DVD players, because they understand that the films needs to be supported. And for instance, my film would be an archive in 15, 20, 50 years. It would be a jewel. It is a jewel now. I'm the first woman from Guadeloupe to have a feature film on the island. So I always tell that not to be a snob, not to be not to brag, but because it is important to understand that if no women before me had shot a feature film in my island, that tells you how difficult it is to shoot films. Wow. So when that happens, we need the support. So support.
Indeed.
This is just beautiful.
Indeed. I really love this. And
Yeah.
since you said it, Mariette, we're gonna get you guys back at some point.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Yes.
continue this. Definitely once Caribbean Girl NYC hit the screens. And Marielle,
NYC.
I know, I'm going wrong.
You trying to get rolling it.
The girls are hot, and that show is universal. And if it can be picked up by Netflix, it would be awesome. This is like a Netflix
I think
kind
so.
of
Definitely, I can see it.
TV
Definitely want to
series.
see 1990. And Marcy, you haven't said exactly what you're working on right now, but I know you got something
Yes,
cooking
we
or a
have
few
something
things.
yes, having to do just quickly having to do with Nelson and all that's happening, yeah. And reparations, lots of stuff. I'll tell you all about it. But
We definitely got to have you back to talk about that. Definitely. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us here in the living room.
Thank
It's been
you.
fantastic having
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone for listening. The audience. We love you.
Indeed.
Thank
Loads
you.
of comments there
Thank
for support as well.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Let me just put the reels up before as we speak on them.
Put
Dre.
the reels as we talking, because I think
There we
people
go.
will need to see it again, before they go. I think this is some real excellent stuff there as well. It's been a great show. I really liked it. I'm not going to say which show I looking forward to. But as I said, I got Barrow in my Prime, like in my Amazon Prime, so I'm going to watch that this week. And I'm going to take in some of the others, because I know step by step you can watch the films there as well. So I'm going to do that and take in. As I said to people, pay a full price, folks, and watch the film and support our filmmakers. These are the guys who are archiving and telling our stories,
No, me like a good documentary.
You're looking for the part, though? You're looking for the part, so?
No.
He want that role. You know that role at the showcase. Then if he want that role, Look like he too.
No, he got a little more hair than me. And slightly taller. No, I think that was good. I think it's really good that we shine a light on our storytellers.
So good, so good.
So I think that was a real fantastic conversation.
There was something there that maybe I'll bring that with Marielle another time. But when she was talking about Filmco and said, well, we're all filmmakers who've created this. I remember some time ago, I probably told you all this story. I had this business idea and I went to a guy about it. And he told me, Phil, you always have good ideas, but you need to find somebody with you who is as passionate about business as you are about technology and media. And that always stuck with me, that in order to build an industry, especially in the creative sector, you need business people who are passionate about business and may not be themselves creatives, but can see the potential of it to be profitable and to be viable as well. So maybe that's something we have to sort of bring up a bit more.
Agreed. 100%. That was really good. Really like that.
I think people really, the audience also really recognize, what's out there. And, we've got so much rich talent in our region, man. And it's for us to really show these guys and encourage them by watching, participating, paying for it, being engaged. We like to consume a lot of entertainment. So let's do it with our own.
100%. Me, it's like Maria was saying, we consume so much from outside and we pay for it without asking a question. We don't ask for a discount. Matter of fact, in many cases, we don't even want the knockoff because we want to watch the good quality. You know what I mean? But when it comes to our stuff, all of a sudden I'm happy to get a CD with 50 songs burned on it, that the quality of the song isn't even that good, or a DVD that grainy. And, we just, when it comes to our own stuff,
self-loathing and self-content,
we don't do the same thing, So it's good, but I really enjoy that. And for guys in the audience, thank you guys so much for staying with us. As usual, we always ask you to do us a favor, hit share, because this content is going to live on. So if you hit share, bring in your network as well, then it just lives on, and many people across the region just continue watching it, because I think it's an important conversation that people should see and should be a part of,
Yeah.
So I really think so. Be with us, as usual, be on our page. If you haven't yet, you can like us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, We Global Media. Share it with your friends. Invite 10 of your friends. Do that for us this week. Invite 10 of your friends to like We Global. Let's continue to grow the platform and have these really important Caribbean conversations. So let's continue to do that as well. As I said before, hit share. And this week, or next week rather, is a Living Legends Sunday.
Ooh.
A Living Legends Sunday is next week, and trust me, you don't want to miss that. That is going to be fantastic. So you don't want to miss that. So I tease that there for y'all. I think that's going to be really good. That's going to be really good. But, thank you guys for staying with us throughout the course of the better part of 2 hours. Phil, last words? I like to go around.
Nothing more from me, man.
Thank you, Elme. Oh, I should give some shout outs to some people here. So, I just, I just forget everybody and miss a bunch of things. So, Elme, Valerie, thank you. Michael Commonbats, thanks for jumping in. DD, you did say you were going to come back all the time. So, thank you so much for coming back as well. Marielle, thank you. Karen Douglas, I see who else in there. Pat, welcome. Thank you. Cheryl King, thank you. Wilfred, whole bunch of people. Marlies Jones, Marcia Strickland, Arlene, Catherine. Guys, thank you. I always forget names and y'all always forgive me, but I like to call a few of them. Because without you guys, this show doesn't happen. Without your interaction, the show isn't the same. And we really value that. So thank you so much for that. I can shut up now. Until next time.
I thought you were going to come to me, because I would say, I could play a good red man, F any Paris.
With that acting, Mark.